This is it, man. A few more seconds to showtime.
Two different levels, I cannot relate.
The more I read, the more I learned, the more I understood, this was not a tool. This was a revolution.
Gotta let people know Bitcoin is money. It's not a commodity. It's not digital capital. It's not a digital gold. It's money. We gotta use it that way.
Family close, put in work and secure the bag and then take it back to my foes.
The Bitcoin way educates and empowers every individual on how to regain full control over their wealth, how to protect it, and how to get it right the first time, so that there's no mistakes and no anxiety in any stage of that process.
I think there are two important things that people should understand about self-custody. First of all is that it is critical. You only hold your wealth if you take 100% self-custody. In anything else, you're taking on counterparty risk. You're exposing yourself to government intervention, regulations, failed businesses, and so forth. But the second and another very fundamentally important thing about self-custody is that anybody can do it. It's a new set of skills, but it's not that complicated. You just need the right teacher to help walk you through the process to do it correctly the first time.
For once, we have an asset that you can truly own yourself, and it's critical to take ownership over this asset to maintain its power and to ensure that you are in charge of your money and your money doesn't get eaten up by inflation or any other thing that's happening around the world.
Self-custody is so important because the whole idea around Bitcoin is to move away from counterparty risk, to move away from centralization. And if you're storing your Bitcoin with counterparties, you're just delaying the real adoption of Bitcoin, where we separate money and state and have a better world. So if you really want to be a part of the change, your Bitcoin should be truly yours. It shouldn't be shared with anyone, and it should be used. You shouldn't be afraid to use your Bitcoin. The Bitcoin only will become what it's supposed to become if you really use it and know how to use it, more importantly, not just to store it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bitcoin Way Live. I've got my man Tony here with me. Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing good. Dude, I am having a hell of a time keeping up with the news, though.
A lot going on, man. A lot going on. The good, the bad, and the ugly are unleashed at once.
Dude, it's mostly the bad and the ugly, but we're going to kick off here with...
The bad and the ugly are for those that know nothing.
Dude, when I'm just telling you, when I'm scrolling Twitter, I'm just trying to catch up with what's going on. It's like, I mean, Iran is a complete mess, and I don't see it getting any better. The good news is we do have some very exciting things going on in Bitcoin. Obviously, we always do. For anyone who's joining us, let's start getting the chat active. We've got one comment here. Hey, Goober, LFG, yes.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. Make sure you drop in your questions and comments during the live chat. We'd love to see them and engage with you all.
Yeah, it's always fun. We've had we've only been doing this for a little under a month, I think, and we've got a good handful of people who don't miss a show and are always chiming in. We'd love to see some more people. Even if you don't agree with us, you don't have to agree with our assessment. I know we say a lot of controversial things. That's the nature of what we do. We're sort of the contrarians of the world. So throw anything up there. But Tony, I want to start with, let's just talk a little bit about this. So we all know the big news that broke a few months ago, Square began to allow Bitcoin payments. But now I think this is very interesting and very exciting. Square has turned on auto-enabled Bitcoin payments for millions of sellers. So starting March 30th, all eligible sellers, and I need to go back. I looked up the definition, can't remember what it was now, but are going to auto-enable Bitcoin payments. So you should be able to pay with Lightning. And even my understanding, at least, is even if they, the seller doesn't want to accept Bitcoin as payment, it auto converts, keeps fees way lower. but it enables those of us who are trying to use Bitcoin as money, as a medium of exchange, to do so at 4 million more merchants than we could, just at this point in time. This is less than 2 weeks from now. So, Tony, this is, I think, this is a big move that is probably going to go underappreciated, because I think a lot of people will say, well, hey, the sellers are still going to just accept it in fiat, probably, which is true, I think. But I think this kind of makes the people who say, well, you can't use Bitcoin, it completely nullifies that argument in my mind. What's your reaction to this news?
This sets the stage for the suddenly, right? While everybody's distracted with all the bad news that's going on in the world, the smart parallel economies continue to build in fascinating ways. And this is an insanely bullish piece of news, because even though when they first announced it, several months ago, that eligible merchants are able to take Bitcoin payments, they still had to click a button. Well, now they removed that simple step altogether. It's enabled by default. So Bitcoin payments, if you're a Square user and you qualify, which I'm assuming almost everyone will at some point, you're talking about millions of merchants that all of a sudden now by default accept Bitcoin with no effort, zero effort. So this is going to really fast forward the understanding of Bitcoin as money, especially if these merchants incentivize their customers to pay them in real money, by offering discounts, promo codes, and things of that sort. The regular, individual walking through that store now is going to see that discount. And if they've never heard of Bitcoin, or at least didn't realize that they actually can use it as money, well, that's going to recalibrate their thinking. So it's, it's no longer cash, Visa, MasterCard. Now it's Bitcoin, cash, Visa, MasterCard. And the Bitcoin has the better number, right? And from a merchant's perspective, you're going to cut off so many unnecessary fees by accepting your payments over the Lightning Network, for example, which are literally pennies. Now, there is an opt-out for some merchants that just don't want to do this. I don't know why any sane merchant would turn it off, but it's there for the special crowd that insists on living in the past. And there's also an option to, I believe, set a certain percentage of all incoming Bitcoin payments to be auto-converted to USD. So if, for example, you're a merchant and you know that 20% of your revenue has to be paid in dollars, well, then you can program it so that, if $100 comes in, $20 gets, converted into toilet paper, and $80 worth remains in sound money that appreciates over time. And so for me, this is absolutely, fascinating news, which almost makes everything else disappear, because this is where the future is headed, right? Where remember that the story about the good magician, where that he makes you look, distracts you somewhere, but the actual trick is happening behind the scenes. This to me is the actual trick. As the legacy monetary system explodes and is dying through all sorts of geopolitical nightmares, this is what's being built in the background. And so those paying attention where the smart money is looking is onto these headlines, which is why I'm always smiling. People that are unfortunately stuck in bad areas, my heart goes out for them. I've been in your shoes. I've lived there. Believe me, I know exactly what you're experiencing. Find ways to opt out. The complaining doesn't help. The guilt trip over family, friends, those excuses, those don't work. I've had to go through them. Believe me, they don't work. Logical decisions are what's required for the right decisions. And so take action. There are plenty of ways to improve your life situation, even though the headlines may read doom and gloom everywhere. There's always a window, right? And that's what you should be always looking for, that window to escape, because glass half full, glass half empty. Your lens decides how you feel at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, I say this all the time, but the only thing you can do is what you can do, and it lives close to home. And I think this is what's great about this, Tony, is that Square is a a sort of a plug and play tool that any business could adopt, any merchant could adopt tomorrow. And so it gives orange pilling people is very difficult. Square pilling your local merchant so you can pay in Bitcoin, like that's probably a bit of an easier thing, right? Switching over, I imagine, is not that problematic. Certainly if you've got someone who doesn't have a good point of sale system anyway and is looking for a better option, like that's a great opportunity. I go to my local farmers market, half of them or more are already using Square, right? So I can just go and start paying in Bitcoin. And I was thinking about this a little bit. And once you're, I know I've talked to you about this, so this will be a little bit redundant for anyone who's been following us for forever. But I was talking to Paul Tarantino of Byte Federal. I was on his podcast yesterday. I think that'll come out here later this week or early next. And he referenced my speech in Prague last year where I was talking about the importance of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. And I told him, I said, I'm not necessarily 100% that Bitcoin isn't successful in some way, even if it isn't used as a medium of exchange. Like, I think it could still be a great store of value. And all the Bitcoiners who were pretty early are fabulously wealthy because they adopted Bitcoin, even if no one's accepting it as money, which, by the way, that's not what I think is going to happen. But what I think the reason this is so important, the reason we need to use it as a form of currency and not just as a savings vehicle, is because for it to fix the problems that we think Bitcoin is going to help resolve, like the forever wars, which we're seeing right now, we need the U.S. military buying fighter jets with Bitcoin, because if they don't use Bitcoin and they continue to use printed money, then there's no limit to how many fighter jets they can buy. And it's only over time as the company making the fighter jets recognizes, I don't want that worthless toilet paper anymore. I'm producing something of real value, something that takes massive amounts of capital and engineering to put together. I want the thing that's actually going to retain its value, so I don't have to go speculate in something else. And I think that's when we're going to see the world begin to heal in a way. And so my point in saying all of this is, I think the medium of exchange use case is the use case that heals the world, not the fact that it can store value. That's just a piece of the puzzle.
You know, I see it a bit of like a feature that's there, but that people aren't noticing. You know, like when you've got this, encrypted messenger, most people default to typing, right? They don't really realize that you can also do voice dictation, you can do audio, you can do video. And then one day, for some bizarre reason, the light bulb goes off, and now everybody's excited about like the audio or video feature that's been in the app they've been using for 10 years. And now all of a sudden they're discovering it for the first time. I have a feeling, the Bitcoin as money is going to be, something along those lines, where you're like, you mean I can use it as money? Since when? Since day one.
Since 2009.
With the increasing prices everywhere,
yeah.
I think this is going to be really like a good thing, because people are going to be so thirsty for a discount, for a deal, for something to alleviate those, nonstop, inflating prices, that they'll pay with anything to get that deal, whether it's Bitcoin or donuts or whatever the hell it is, right? Give me a discount because I just can't afford anything anymore. And so the fact that the money printing is really, it's just like reached some, absurd levels at this stage, that is going to lead more people into taking, Bitcoin as money seriously, because again, it'll be correlated to that discount, at least, for the merchants who are accepting it and are, really want to incentivize their clients to pay them in it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's more or less how it will probably play out. Hey, Tony, we got some comments coming in, so I just want to get to these.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've got Manuel Azevedo. Nice to see Bitcoin price denominated in toilet paper going down today. Limit orders popping off once again.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Never feel sorry for leveraged clowns getting wiped.
Yeah, this is we're at 71,277 right now from what I can see.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is just cheaper sats, guys. I think the big prints come in. You'll all get your fiat
The
denominated
fundamentals
Bitcoins in.
haven't changed. The fundamentals of Bitcoin haven't changed. Keep stacking, keep saving. At some point, your savings will be fine, no matter what the dollar price says. Remember, one Bitcoin is worth 71,000 Bitcoins, right? That's the money you want. So it doesn't matter if it's 71, 75, 76. That doesn't matter. One versus tens of thousands.
Yeah.
That's what you should be focusing on.
And Tony, one of the things, so the fundamentals of Bitcoin haven't changed, and the fundamentals of our macroeconomic picture haven't changed. But what has changed is every day, the stories coming out are just example after example of why you need Bitcoin. Blackouts in Cuba, war in Iran, oil prices, are getting shaky and looking like they're going to go through the roof. I saw that China is done exporting fertilizer, which is a massive problem if you're an American farmer just trying to grow corn. So when those sorts of things happen, you need something that is going to protect you. And Bitcoin's the solution. It's just every day, man. We've got a good morning, gents, from Shinku Nakamoto. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
Our friend Ron is in the chat. Ron, good to have you back. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Bitcoin is true freedom. Bitcoin is sovereignty. BTC is life.
Absolutely.
Let's see. We got some morning peeps from Claude. Claude, nice to have you. And of course, Matthew J is here. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Hang on, let me see. I've got want to make sure we're responding to anything. China might start making Trump buy rare earth metals for his war material in Bitcoin. That would start the trend. That would be a crazy moment. The thing is, I think that Tony, as much as I would love to see that, I think the sovereigns are in on gold because I don't think they have anything to gain from Bitcoin. They know they can manipulate gold for forever, and they know that they can't manipulate Bitcoin for forever, even if they can manipulate the price in the short term. I don't see the sovereigns.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. In a digital world with AI, it doesn't matter what you want. You have to be practical. And I just don't see how precious metals work in this world.
Well,
It's
I don't think they
definitely not
work.
going to work as money. It's for sure not going to work as money. It's just fiat all over again.
No, but I think if the elites across the globe could have it their way, they know that they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to change something, right? I mean, we're going to have revolutions or something if they don't, quote unquote, fix it. I think that they will to demonstrate some level of restraint and responsibility. I think there's a good chance that we do see them migrate back to gold, because they know that they can pretend to be responsible on gold, but actually do what the United States was doing all along throughout the 20th century, and that is print more than they had in gold. And so they get to keep playing their game. It's only when I think we the people sort of step up and force them onto Bitcoin that I think that they readily adopt it. Like it's just like, hey, I'm not providing my service to the government if you're not paying me in Bitcoin. So I don't know.
The thing is, for Bitcoin to win, gold doesn't have to lose. It's not like a black and white scenario. It's just that when you have both alternatives, they can both go up and win, so to speak. But over time, Bitcoin for sure destroys the gold narrative, simply because there's no permission required anymore, right? Like when people finally understand what true self-sovereignty means, that you're able to interact from point A to point B without anybody's permission, without any threat that your account is going to be seized or shut down or confiscated. That is the value proposition that nothing in this universe other than Bitcoin gives you, right? So when I say I'm going to live on a Bitcoin standard, I'm not saying it because I want to become euro or dollar rich. I want to save in Bitcoin because no bank in this freaking world anymore can touch my savings, no matter what they say. And that's something that millions of folks are starting to understand, because as situations tighten, get worse, depending where you are, again, everybody has their limit. It's just a question of how far, it stretches.
Yeah, well said. Got some more comments here. Shinku said, "Bitcoin will heal the world." I think it's the most important tool that we have for healing the world.
100%, man. It's without Bitcoin, we'd really be screwed at that point.
Oaktown Jerk, it's important time to be a contrarian. Thank you for your channel and energy fighting the good fight. We appreciate the support. And yes, I agree with you. It is a good time it's an important time to be a contrarian. Matthew, national debt approaching 40 trillion, was under 20 trillion when COVID-19 happened. Yes, that's one of the charts that I've pulled for. I need to find an updated chart because I've pulled it for a couple of orange pilling presentations I've done. And it only goes to like 2020, 2021. And I'm like, guys, we've basically doubled since 2020, our national debt. Like, that's insane. Like,
soon you'll be adding $1 trillion every 10 days. Watch.
Yeah, that's the trajectory we're on. And that's the problem with a debt-based system, is it has to go exponential. And it's going to be a complete disaster. So get Bitcoin, take self-custody. Konstantinos, morning, everyone from Greece. Good to have people from all over the world here.
Kalimera or Kalispera. It's probably afternoon there now.
Yeah, I think he's accounting for the fact that I'm in the States, I guess.
Money Prince War. Yes, war is a business machine, man. People go to war because it's profitable for those who like killing others.
Yes. Will people fall for 1971 round 2? I think Matthew, I think what you're referring to is kind of my allusion to these governments, to nation states adopting gold, because it gives them sort of the hedge, and it also is something that they know long term they can continue to manipulate. I think people do fall for it again. That's the reason why we, in our personal lives, in the education that we do, on the channels that we do, we need to get more people, the retail crowd, so to speak, the plebs, buying, taking self-custody, equipping them to go out and change their community, and to go, I just think this needs to be a grassroots movement. I don't think governments are ever going to opt for Bitcoin as a form of money, like in any broad sense.
They will never admit to it because it obsoletes them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like shooting yourself in the foot. It's absurd to even expect that. But it's going to happen whether they like it or not. So at some point, they're going to have to, like, if they want to have their own product, that product has to be as good, if not better, to keep people using it, right? But of course, it'll never be as good as something that is free peer-to-peer. And so their approach is to be aggressive and extreme and tyrannical, and to force you and coerce you and to punish and to kill and to do all these like horrific things to keep you as a prisoner of their system, right? So some people might be okay living in that world, but I just don't see a large majority at some point not just want to like walk away.
I agree. Again, it's my Max Payne thesis. We've got Bob Lucas here from an undisclosed location in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, how's it going, Bob?
Don't dox yourself, guys. Tony and MJ, great to catch up with you today. Flawless Thunderbolt, thank you.
Thunderbolt, good to see you.
This is an interesting one. Claude, David Gilmour's guitar from Pink Floyd sold for 14 million. Should have bought Bitcoin, but I think it just shows people are finding ways out of the dollar. The problem with a collectible, yeah, it's probably going up, but it's not a very liquid market. You got to go find someone else to go buy a $17 million guitar now when you want to offload that. But that's a pretty cool piece of history to have. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that as time goes on, people won't know who Pink Floyd is. So 14 million at some point will be worth $14.
Yeah,
because just no one will care. Or no one will know, like, to appreciate why it's so expensive.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, my name is Michael Jordan, and I've already met young people who can't like. They're like, oh, I think I've heard of Michael Jordan. I'm like, oh man, I'm not as famous as I used to be. Greetings from Thailand, Jay Smith. Thank you for being.
Hello.
Here's a comment on the gold commentary we were making. Ultra Drip: money moves out of risk assets into gold, then moves to cash equivalents, and then it moves back into risk when the risk is at the very bottom. Same trade every decade or so. I think gold is going to have its moment over the next couple of years because of sovereign demand. And then I think I agree with Parker Lewis, what he said on my podcast, which I'd encourage everyone, go find that episode. It was really good. His sort of thesis on gold is that it's actually dead. It's already dead, but the world just doesn't realize it yet.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to continue to store value the way that it historically has, even if over some short-term period of time, it looks like it's, there's a lot of upward price action or something. So I don't think it's something you want to hang your hat on and opt out.
Gold just has the history of time on its side. A lot of people, I don't think a lot of people really understand gold. A lot of people just understand that gold is what they're supposed to hold because their mom told them so, or their grandmother told them so, or they heard it from someone down the line. And these people, you have to believe them because they're always been honest. There's a lot of that into why people just brainlessly, fall into the gold and silver narratives. Yeah. And so we tend to live in an echo chamber because really, the number of people who actually think, do research, read, ask questions is a very tiny percentage, which is why when you are in this echo chamber, seeing what the rest of the world is doing, can be very frustrating if you let it affect you, because you're like, what is wrong with these people? Like, don't you see it? It's crystal clear. And yet you guys are just running in circles, doing absolutely nothing useful. In fact, things are getting worse for you by the day, but yet somehow you think you're going to find a solution within the same broken, rotten, decaying chessboard.
Yeah. Buying gold is a habit. It's not the foundation.
Yeah, it's like, because my granddad used to have it, so I have to have it because he was smart, and so I should trust him. I shouldn't listen to Michael Jordan, some geek on YouTube, because what does he know, right? He's only done 10,000 hours of research into the future and studied, God knows how many books. But my granddad, who comes from a village in God knows where, because his grandfather also told him about gold. They're the smart ones that we have to blindly follow.
Got to always be upgrading our knowledge base. You can't get stuck on one thing.
Of course,
it's going to get stale. Tony will like this one. Jay Smith said, bought my lot in Panama, in a Panama Freedom Community. Look forward to meeting you there.
Nice. Let's go, man. Congratulations. Awesome investment, in my opinion. Awesome. You will be surrounded by a noticeable amount of like-minded individuals.
Let's see. We've got Matthew J. Gold peaked against Bitcoin in 2009. Yes, January 3rd, 2009. Let's see. Elaine, welcome back. The school system trained people to accept an answer to every question. Gold star. Oh, there you go. Yeah, they put a gold star on your paper, and they try to brainwash you into thinking gold. There's something valuable in gold.
You did not think today. 2 stars.
Swamp Stopper, good morning. I don't think we've had Swamp Stopper here, at least not in the chat. Good to have you. And then Ken B is late to the game, but Ken, good to have you back, man. Purest Bitcoin signal. Love Tony's take on how people will finally get Bitcoin. Yeah, Tony's full of good ideas. Keep the chat going, guys. Keep asking us questions. We love this interaction. I want to pull up here. Hang on, let me find we were talking about the U.S. debt hitting 39 trillion. We're almost up to 40. Tony, this is still top of mind for a lot of people, so let's talk about it.
I am telling you, you're going to be hitting $1 trillion every 10 days very, very soon.
Yeah, to your point before that, I'll back out of this for a second. To your point before that, we were at 20 trillion in 2020, and now we're at almost 40 trillion here in 2026, like early 2026, right? Like, that's insane, and we're going to get to 100 trillion, here in the next 10 years. It's going to be a wild ride, guys. Buy Bitcoin, take self custody. Okay, Tony, you got to comment on this, man. So this is Jackson Hinkle, a very controversial person on X. But breaking: the U.S.-Israel just bombed Iranian gas fields that make up 70% of the nation's gas supply. There will be a major retaliation for this.
Yeah.
Stands to reason. And by the way, I think this might be the largest gas field in the world. I think I saw someone share that somewhere. I didn't have a chance to verify that.
Well, the thing is, if this is true, I made a tweet about this yesterday. So the tweet goes, US overextension will obviously lead to Middle East fragility. Iran doesn't need to win, just disrupt the Hormuz canal, which would lead to an oil shock. The oil shock leads to cracks in the petrodollar. Those cracks causes the Fed to print funds, to fund these deficits. That liquidity floods, capital is going to seek scarcity. Where do you think the end game is? Bitcoin absorbs it all, not as a rally, but as a reflex. This is how it goes nuclear. In the meantime, you, the individual, are going to get raped at the price pump on everything that is affected by that hit, because that oil reserve is massive. And so unless other countries are going to somehow dump their emergency oil reserves to bring down the price, this is going to be absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah, Elaine, it seems like Trump and who were on a suicide mission. I think I know who you're talking about, but we're not going to say that name on air.
No need to give them attention.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, I kicked this off by talking about just how insane and fast moving the news is. So for context, we have a very large scale kinetic war in Iran. We have blackouts in Cuba that appear completely due to U.S. intervention there. We have raids going on against supposed terror organizations in Ecuador, also U.S. funded and coordinated. And then I don't know what the hell's happening in Venezuela at the moment, but we stole their leader and basically said we're going to take a bunch of your stuff. This is probably a comment that I've made and I'm going to reiterate, but to me, it seems like everyone's always talking about the fourth turning, the big print, like some huge event, right? And it's like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to, and what I would contend is that these huge events don't usually happen in a day. The huge events are what we are watching unfold right now. Like this is a time of 100% turbulence and chaos. And to me, that's the hope of Bitcoin is TikTok, next block, hard cap at 21 million. I can send it anytime, day or night, to anyone in the world without being censored. Like that is the stability here. And that's the reason we talk about all these stories is that seem adjacent to Bitcoin at best, is because they all come back to you've got to be doing this right and protecting yourself because you have no control over. And then is Trump going to invade Greenland? I don't know. Are we going to, who knows? It could be anything. Is China going to invade Taiwan? Maybe. I don't know. But I do know that you need to do what you can to find stability in your own life because the world isn't going to get less crazy on you, I don't think.
Man, this US overextension military wise is really flat out suicide. I don't see any other way to describe it. And the thing is, they're trying to be everywhere at once. And it's just not going to work, man. It's just this calamity has got to give at some point. And I know this is all money related, but how much damage is going to occur until things settle down? That's anybody's guess. So I mean, the best play here really is to get out of the way. I mean, the writing is to me is crystal clear, man. There's no way this thing gets fixed. At least not in a way that benefits any individual. You have to get off the chessboard entirely. So, yeah.
By the way, a quick recommendation for anyone, if you've got enough room to do it, I would highly encourage you to do something I did. So my brother's family lives we got like a little family compound here, and we bought a 125 gallon fuel reserve tank. And so we keep that thing topped off because I don't know. I know the implications on oil prices are going to be crazy. I would encourage everyone to have some backup of that. Cloud said that there's a big oil refinery in Mexico on fire now.
There you go.
I'll take it your word. I obviously haven't been able to verify that. Hey, Cloud is asking Jay Smith, did you buy your plot in Veritas Village in the hills?
No doxing locations on this show, guys.
Careful,
no doxing locations.
Elaine says China has more claim on Taiwan than we have on Greenland, Venezuela, or Iran. We are the enemy. Elaine,
I think China is doing a lot more useful things, while other people are self-destructing. You should go read about the advancements in AI tech that China is, proudly demoing these days, and you'll understand, why China has absolutely no risk, in my opinion, of from everything that's going on now. They are doing their own thing, man. They're really on the sidelines, probably laughing at how everything is falling apart on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. Elaine, are you from the U.S.? I'd love to, because Tony, the interesting thing is we've been doing this show, and part of the reason is we started doing this live stream right at the time that the U.S. decided to just invade everyone on planet Earth, apparently. But historically, I've not been one to, like, I don't like our government, but I don't sit around calling the United States out as the bad guy a lot. Like, I'm just like, I recognize, and now I feel like we've spent half of our live streams just talking about how screwed up all the interventionalism is. She says LA woman. So yes. Oh, wrong. Yeah. So I mean, I think this is the interesting thing is we've got more and more, Tony, Americans who are coming, they're recognizing what's really happening. And I wonder, like, how does this play out when you get a critical mass of Americans who are like, nope, like, not doing this, and completely turn against the government.
Man, it sure took long enough for this to start to happen, right?
Been doing this in World War I.
I don't know what to thank or who to thank for that realization to become popular, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot more Americans now that understand, what is happening, and more importantly, what has always happened. This isn't new. This is a rinse and repeat of politics that have been going on for a very long time. And so people are fed up, man. When your life is destroyed because of the stupid decisions of others, you're going to draw the line in some way, shape, or form, because otherwise they're going to take you out along with them. And not everyone is going to be happy with that. And so they're going to put their foot in the ground and protect themselves. And I'm hoping there are more Americans that will step up and do their part in order to end this. And I'm hoping those on the front lines are part of that group, because, these are the ones that are thrown into the most dangerous and horrific situations. And for what? Right?
Yeah.
So, but again, maybe that's wishful thinking on my part, but we definitely are starting to see a change in the mindset of Americans regarding, the enemy within here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, Tony, Elaine runs a historical society. She says we want our Constitution back.
Yeah, that Constitution is decorative for now, it seems.
Yeah. So Matthew said that Bitcoin veterans is mostly American military veterans on a mission, the peaceful revolution, Bitcoin. That's great to hear. Matthew, I would be curious to hear, because this is always a tricky subject for me, because I have a lot of respect for our veterans and the people, who have fought and served. I think most of the intervention is misguided or just, outright unconstitutional, wrong. But I appreciate the values that I think that most military members espouse, and I'd love to know from someone in those shoes, because I've got friends sort of in Bitcoin on both sides of this, where yes, we need to be in Iran, like we can't let them have nuclear weapons, and then I have people who I tend to sort of align with more, who say this whole thing is just a charade. Ignore the noise. You can't trust what the politicians are saying. Iran is not a nuclear threat and isn't going to be. It's the fact that we keep intervening that's the threat. So I'd love to hear your thought on that, Matthew. Tony, how long? G Fuzzy asked, how long until $40 trillion in national debt? Place your bets. I think that
2 weeks.
Early summer. Yeah, Tony's bullish on the national debt going up.
Yeah, man. If I can place a bet on how fast it goes up, we'd probably make a killing.
Oh man, for sure. Tony, I want to play a video. Hang on, let me get this pulled up. It just keeps playing on repeat. So tell me, make sure you can hear this, but this I'll pull it up full screen.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now, because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
Okay, so it hurt consumers, and that's the last of our concerns right now. So guys, you heard it straight from Hazlitt. From the politicians, the members of the elite, yes, you're going to be hurt, and yes, they also don't care.
This is what we've been saying for years, but now, I guess it's gotten to a point where they're like, what the hell, we might as well say it too, right? These people don't give a shit about you. Whether you live, you die, you're poor, you starve, you die, doesn't matter. You don't exist. These are the people that you are funding with your taxes, that you are voting for, thinking somehow miraculously, another one of these clowns is going to make a difference. This is where your time and energy is being wasted on. And so when you see this, how can you morally and rationally still want to support this system? Yeah. These are the worst kind of human beings ever. Anyone with, a shred of common sense should be looking for every solution under the sun to put them out of business. And now we have that optionality to do it peacefully. Stop using their bloody product. The dollar, dump it. Switch to something that they cannot use or control. I understand people have bills to pay and all that fun stuff with dollars, but in that case, just use the amount that you need and then walk away. Keep the rest in sound money that no government or central bank can manipulate or control or coerce you with anymore. That's who you're funding, right? Like, this is fiat money. It's funding all of these wars, all of these genocides, all of these gaslighting scumbags, all of these people, get richer the more people continue to use their product. And so 8.3 billion people have the ability to stop this in the next 5 minutes. Yet somehow it seems like this monumental effort for folks to do. Truly mind-blowing.
Yes, I completely agree. That's what I always express as like the most frustrating thing about it is I think it's not that I think that if everyone did what I did, everything in the whole world would be fixed. But I think the problems we're discussing here would be vastly reduced. And that's what I've told, the people in my life. I'm like, I wish I could either get you to go do the work, or I could put my knowledge in your head, not because I'm so damn smart, but just because I've done the research. Because then you would say, enough, I'm opting out. I'm saving in Bitcoin. I'm canceling everything that involves myself or touches these other systems, and the world would get a lot better very quickly. Hey, Ken, you said, Michael, it's been this way forever. I assume you're talking about this clip we just shared, that they don't care about us.
Yes, of course, man. It's been like this forever. But up until 2009, there was really no good option.
Yeah.
After 2009, in my opinion, there is no good excuse not to opt out.
Yes. Elaine said, once people have Bitcoin, they will stand against this crazy spending and killing. I think you're right. Not just because they have Bitcoin, but because once you have Bitcoin, it means you've done some proof of work to understand what's going on. I think it's sort of both and.
Yeah, it's sending a message.
Let's see. Tony, Claude says 100% Tony. Common sense is not common.
Yeah, man. Common sense seems to be scarcer than Bitcoin.
It is, man. Shinku said most people can't self-custody gold, but everybody can self-custody Bitcoin. That is
absolutely,
that's true. Hey Goober, sometimes I can't believe that Bitcoin exists. What a time. It's true.
Yeah,
It really is.
that
What
is
a
very,
time.
very true, man. It's really mind blowing and very blessed to be alive, in a time where we literally get to decide what Bitcoin becomes, right? I mean, we're the first generation for Bitcoin. This is not a small thing, man. It's a really big deal.
Tony, what's so interesting about it is pre-Bitcoin, Michael would have been just really pissed off and watching Fox News to tell me what to think about the war in Iran and everything. And now, I mean, it's so sad. Like I try to imagine being an Iranian family right now who is completely helpless. But in terms of there's nothing, it's out of my control. There's nothing I can personally do to change their circumstances. And so I'm able to just sort of, talk about it on the show, have my opinions. But then when I shut the computer at the end of the day, I can go inside and be with my family and not think about, what's going on in the world. Like it doesn't matter. I feel much less impacted by it. And like, I don't need to have a strong opinion and debate other people on what I think is right. Like I can just shrug my shoulders at a lot of things, which is a freedom in and of itself.
Yeah, of course. Completely agree, man.
We've got Kelly the Good. Thank you for being here. So frustrated. My family is sick of hearing me talk about Bitcoin. I'm working on teenage nieces and nephews. Kelly, join the freaking club. Although I've laid off a lot with my brother's the only person I still badger about this because he just needs to get his ass moving and do it. He's dragging his feet. When the common person understands what they hold, what they hold with Bitcoin, they control what it gets spent on.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Since I learned about Bitcoin, I stopped donating to major scam charities. Instead, I'm now able to help people in my family. Yeah, Bob, you're completely right. I'll tell you that's
spot on, Bob. Spot on.
That's an interesting one because I used to be the guy. So Tony, I don't know if they do this in the areas you tend to stay and travel, but in the U.S., if you go to like any store, it's always like, do you want to donate $1 to charity? Do you want to round up, to support this cause? And I used to be like, oh, I'm a nice guy, sure. And then I saw something. I can't even remember maybe it was like the Salvation Army or some big charity here in the U.S. That basically, or maybe it was like the American Cancer Society or something. There was some charity that they're like, yeah, like 90% of that goes to overhead staff, lobbying efforts. Like almost none of it goes to finding a cure for cancer or whatever. And I was like, what the hell? And so I never donate to a charity that I know nothing about anymore. It's only the people, the institutions, the organizations that I have direct contact with, who I know something about, and can confirm it and verify in some way. So that's an interesting one.
A lot of scams, man. I remember back in the day during the Lebanese Civil War, my mom, this was long before Bitcoin, but my mom, I guess she must have been a Bitcoiner in her own brain because she never donated to any charities. What she would do is she would collect, a lot of clothes, food, goods, and things of that sort, and then physically take them to areas and distribute them to the families directly who need them, right? Like without going through a third party. She would do this with a group of friends every 6 months. It was a lot of work. I remember it. I was still a child back then, but I recall these days, and there would be like massive bags and crates and cartons of all sorts of things. They're like flown over privately and delivered by hand to those in need because of exactly what you're describing. Like if you give it to a third party, they'll never reach the intended destination. They'll line the pockets of the thieves organizing this.
Yeah. I remember when I was in first grade, we were learning about the rainforest, and we did some sort of like a little campaign to like raise money to like plant a tree in the rainforest or save an acre of the rainforest or I don't know, something like that. And I remember my dad is, he's skeptical enough to know when he told me, he was like, yeah, any money that he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not donating. I'm not buying a shirt or whatever you're selling because any of that money is just going into the hands of some politician somewhere halfway around the world. And so I wish that had stuck with me longer because I would have saved myself a lot of money that probably just went to terrible people. Tony, we've got some more good comments. So Gen A, which I think is like my children, I think this is after Gen Z, are going to use.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Bitcoin for Gen A is going to be as synonymous as an iPad.
Yeah, yeah. Kelly the good Claude said that's where it starts with the kids. That's what I'm doing with my nephews. Yeah, absolutely. Bob said last week I asked my 14-year-old grandson to help me with some work. I had him download a wallet of Satoshi and paid him in sats. Guys, this is awesome. This is it.
That's the way, man. You build these habits subconsciously, through fun activities. Like it shouldn't be an act of war, when we talk to people about Bitcoin. It should be a fun conversation. I mean, if they don't want to listen, okay, maybe you find a clever way to trick them into paying attention, like, giving them, a chore to do and giving them the money in Bitcoin. Like I know in my inner circle, they're just flat out forbidden to go out and work for worthless paper. But that's me, right? Some people might use less draconian measures to do it, but it works.
Yeah. That's something I need to do. I'm going to buy like one of these cheap tablets without any sort of just internet access, nothing else, that I can spin up some wallets for my kids that they can go in at any time and check how many sats they have.
Yeah.
It's not something that I've started doing. It's a hard balance. I don't want to pay my kids to do work that they just need to be doing as a member of the family, but I do want to give them incentives to go above and beyond and to earn some money. That's a tight.
It works, man. It works. Trust me, it works.
Let's see. What's your recommended wallet for Lightning payments or onboarding someone?
There's a lot of good ones, man. And a lot more coming out now with these AI coders. They're coming out left and right. Aqua Wallet, Phoenix, I'd say are some of the top two.
Yeah. I've used Aqua a little bit, dude. I still have a Moon wallet that I just like downloaded earlier.
It's fine,
and it's
fine.
Really does the trick. It's not the best, but it does work. I think it's like just the easiest. If you just need to send and receive, it's pretty useful. I don't think they make a lot of updates though to keep up with the times.
Download a whole bunch of them and just play around with them and see which one sings to you, like which one is more intuitive, and then just stick to it.
Yeah. I've also been using, and this is not one that we would formally recommend at the moment, just because I don't think it's fully open source yet. But our friend Adam Semeka is working on Mana Wallet. I have played with that. It is a good wallet.
It's a good wallet, but it's not fully open source yet.
Yeah, I think he told me the plan is to release the source code. I think they're just trying to like fine tune everything, so that way they're not getting slammed with requests, feedback, that sort of thing, until they feel more comfortable with it. But I know him personally, so I trust it in a way that I probably wouldn't trust anything else. Let's see. I don't know what this is. Mini bits. Do you know what that means? I'm not familiar with this concept.
Yeah, that's with eCash.
Oh yeah.
That's good, but it's slightly more technical than a straight out Lightning wallet.
Yeah, Matthew J said Aqua is easiest.
Yeah,
I do have Aqua downloaded. I just haven't played with it much. It's just like once you kind of find something and start using it, it's just path of.
What's really cool about Aqua Wallet is that their latest update enabled you to have multiple wallets in the same app. Whereas previous to that update, you'd have to have like really one wallet per application. So it wasn't very useful for those that wanted to carry several. Like for example, the example of your kids, you can manage all of their wallets, right? Like you can set up their wallet on their phone, but you have all of their wallets on your phone. So for you to give them, their $10 worth of Bitcoin for whatever, you just do it on your phone, and then they'll see it show up as a balance increase on their device. So really cool in that sense.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it.
For anyone who wants to get some practice and guidance on all of this stuff, just contact us at the Bitcoin Way. Really, it's like part of the many services that we offer into facilitating living on a Bitcoin standard. And there's a lot of ways to do that, and it becomes very easy once you get comfortable in this world. You'll be doing it really like without thinking. It's no longer that daunting exercise. It just takes proper guidance to get it set up properly, and then practice it enough times properly as well. And then before you know it, like you'll be doing this in your sleep.
Yeah. Awesome. Tony, do we have we got some more news stories? I don't know what you want to cover here.
Bring up some of the bullish news, man.
Dude, okay. National debt, private credit defaults surpassed '08 levels. Let me see if I can find something bullish.
This is all bullish news, man.
The government doesn't care about it.
This is the worst news you hear about in the fiat world. The bullish news, it is for Bitcoin.
So here is not that.
Oh boy! All right, yeah.
So this is interesting, Tony. So the U.S. Senate votes to ban the Federal Reserve from issuing a CBDC. I think for obvious reasons, lots of Bitcoiners are going to cheer this on. I get that. Here's the thing, though, is I think it was James Madison referred to as they were developing the Constitution, he called it a parchment barrier, right? So basically, it's a piece of paper that says something, and whether or not anyone cares about that, follows it, pays attention to it, I think is a very different matter. And so that's why I see news like this, and I'm like, on one hand, it's better than them saying that the Federal Reserve can issue a CBDC, but it's still a parchment barrier. It's still a piece of paper that they're going to redefine what a CBDC is, and then they're going to implement it on Tether and say, well, it's not technically a CBDC because of whatever their reason is, and we're still going to have CBDCs.
This is why this is like a laughable headline, because they're mocking you with when they come up with these stupid statements, because they banned the Fed from the central bank digital currency, but who cares? They already have their central bank digital currency. It's marketed as a stable coin. Mm-hmm. That is your central bank digital. There's no difference whether the Fed does it or Tether does it. The result is the same. Tether is not going to operate privately. That's anyone delusional enough to believe that is very naive. Tether is going to follow directions one by one, exactly as instructed. So if they tell them shut this down, they're going to shut it down in 30 seconds. If they tell them go censor these wallet addresses, that will be done in 30 seconds. There's no difference whether the Fed, Tether, or anybody else does it. As long as it's a permissioned network, nothing has changed. Doesn't matter what it's called, doesn't matter who's behind it, doesn't matter what pretty face they put on the TV. If there's a human being or a company or an organization making decisions about money, you shouldn't touch it. That is why Bitcoin in full self-custody destroys everything out there. There's absolutely zero competition, and will never have competition, because another Satoshi Nakamoto is never going to happen. Not in this lifetime, not in any other lifetime that I'm aware of. So that needs to be completely forgotten, and you need to stop believing these absurd headlines that are put out there to fool ignorant people. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of them that are going to celebrate this until they realize that, hold on a second, this wasn't what I signed up for. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Only took you like 20 years and all your savings to go up in flames before you come to that realization.
Yeah. Here's an unpopular opinion. If the federal government implemented a legislation that said you have a right to run a Bitcoin node and self-custody your Bitcoin, I would not cheer that on. And the reason is because I think it's a parchment barrier. They're going to then define what's a node. They're going to define what's self-custody, and they're going to come after you ultimately anyway. And this is, by the way, in the US, this is sort of the debate that happened in the late 18th century. There were a lot of our founding fathers in the US who did not want a constitution, because what it did was it put on paper what everyone already assumed to be true. And so it opened up an opportunity for violations. And I honestly think that the anti-federalists, the people who didn't want, many of them who didn't want like a formal constitution because they already had those rights without a piece of paper saying so, they didn't want it. So I just don't cheer on this legislation. Like, just leave us the hell alone is basically my political commentary of the day.
Well, that's right. People need to walk away from all of this entirely. I mean, there's nothing that world can offer you that is going to be good for you. Absolutely nothing. This is why Bitcoin was created, right? To give the individuals a complete and clean opt-out from that horrific system.
Yes.
And so you don't need to listen to these people. You don't need their blessing. You don't need their permissions. Whatever regulations, rules, nonsense they concoct, it doesn't really matter, because if you're not using their product, These things don't affect you. You are living in a separate world, hopefully in a jurisdiction that incentivizes it, that pushes it forward, that is not going to be like a pain in the ass for you when you are living in that world, right? And there are many options that are moving in that direction. This is why we're starting to see the escalation of, you know, the I call this, like, this is the they fight you stage, where everything is bad, nothing makes sense, everything is falling apart at once, and people are just like, you know, running in circles, not knowing which wall to smash into, right? Whereas, again, you look for that window. Bitcoin is that window. You open it, you come out of it, the sun is shining, everything is chill here.
I love it. The salty Paltard CBDC is good for Bitcoin. I agree with that.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
Bad
when you're screwed, you're going to want to be unscrewed at some point.
Yeah, but it's bad for 98% of people in the short term. But I do agree it is good for Bitcoin, because suddenly Bitcoin's going to be in very high demand, because you're not going to be able to buy your ground beef, and you're not going to be able to top off your car with gas. It's coming.
The thing is, who's going to trade their Bitcoin for a central bank digital currency? So not only is it going to be very expensive, I don't think there's any number out there that'll make anyone trade freedom money or slave money.
Yes, correct. I just gotta say, hey, clean your machine, clean your machine, Inc. Welcome. It looks like you maybe joined a little bit late, but we're glad to have you. Elaine said, like, you can't reinvent fire or the wheel. You can't reinvent Bitcoin. And then Tony, one last question for you, because we got to get running here. Are there other geographic destinations you may recommend besides Panama?
I'm sure there are. We are focusing on Panama right now because I think the potential for this country is really at its early stages, and there's a lot of untapped advantages that we are still looking into. But we really did our homework before choosing to focus on Panama. I mean, like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I primarily, it was for me, my exit out of Lebanon. I really had to be sure that the next step had no chance of a Lebanon repeat. And so we looked at, many other countries who literally tore apart every jurisdiction out there and looked for consistency, looked for like the smallest detail, and Panama, checked the most boxes. So for now, our focus is there. Maybe one day, we'll add a new place on the list, but for the moment, this is where we are. So if you're looking for a good plan B, we'd love to onboard you, man, and introduce you to a fascinating circular economy of like-minded individuals.
Ken B, thanks for joining today, man. Appreciate you following the live stream and always chiming in. Sebastian,
Thank you, Ken.
Sebastian said that you can't move to Panama. Too many cats.
No, man, there's no cats. Where do you see the cats? I haven't encountered any cats. That's funny.
He also said best Bitcoin show on YouTube. I'll be reaching out to work with you soon. We really appreciate that. And hey, I would encourage
to hear that. Welcome, everyone. Really,
I'd encourage everyone to do that. Schedule a call with us. We can talk you through how we help you take self-custody, protect your privacy. If you're interested in a place like Panama, establish a Plan B residency. The QR code is here. Again, I was a client before I started working with the team, and I can't say enough good things about the services that we provide. It's why I'm here. And honestly, Tony is the reason I say a lot of the crazy things that I say. I was a normal person before I started working with the Bitcoin way. I was a normal Bitcoiner, and now I'm a Tony Bitcoiner. But it's a good place.
Thank you, Michael.
I know you mean that. I mean that as a compliment. All righty, guys. I think that's a good place to wrap. Hey, seriously, we had a great turnout today. I know a lot of people are probably on spring break this week and over the coming weeks. So thank you for chiming in. Thanks for tuning in. Schedule some time with our team. We will be back again, same time, same place on Friday. And
guys, love having you here. Please share this live stream with folks, around you. We'd love to meet new folks, interact with them, get their thoughts, answer their questions, and things of that sort. The more the merrier.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Tony, good seeing you, man. We'll talk soon.
Likewise, brother. See you soon.